Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Best Darn Diddler Review Show. This is a weekly podcast for anyone who loves The Simpsons, or ever has loved The Simpsons, hosted by two dudes that grew up on The Simpsons. My name is Miles, better known as Mr. Most Days Off, and today we've got an exciting episode, an exciting returning guest, and as always, an exciting co-host. In fact, he's your co-host with the most, Richie the Whiz Kid. How you doing today, Rich?
I feel like a disturbance in the multiverse here, Miles. I feel like in the future, I'm going to predict that we have great and multiple guests in this episode. But I don't know why I'm reaching out to them that way. But we have one great guest today, not two. That other guy had to go and have a kid. He needs to get his priorities straight. I mean, the Simpsons.
How are you going to go and fuck up your life like that? Honestly,
I know, right? But, oh, wait, I guess we should throw it back to you so we can bash Andy again until he gets back. The man, the myth, a regular Billy Crystal. You got that right. Big smile.
I am, aren't I? Actually, you brought it up, so we should say real quick, congratulations to our good friend of the show, Dr. Andrew Briseno. He's literally been on at least one episode from every season we've done so far. And his wife and him just had a baby yesterday, which is why he was not able to make this appointment. I hope you're a better parent than you are a person who keeps their meetings. I don't know. But no, seriously, congratulations, Andy and Emily. Baby Ramona Ruth Allen Briseno. A couple days early, but totally healthy and happy. And on that note, let's get to our guest that we have today, who I'm stoked to talk to again. She's been here, like I was trying to count earlier. I want to say this is your fifth appearance. Welcome back, Jamie Z.
Hello.
How are you doing today, Jamie?
Is this really 5 already?
I feel like it's 5.
I lost count.
I thought it was 4, but I don't know. I have kind of a brain fog because I just gave birth to triplets earlier, and I'm still here. So
how are you going to triple fuck up your life like that, Jamie?
The Browns go to the
well, I'm not gonna keep them. There's a lot of people want to be parents. I'm not one of them.
We appreciate you keeping your appointments above all else.
Yeah,
that's the important thing.
That's what we really.
If I say I'm going to be there, I want to be there.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. Welcome back. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We've talked a lot about The Simpsons and like Blockbuster and Nickelodeon. I think maybe I'm counting that one, and that's why I'm wrong. I don't know. You've been on 4 to 5 times. But regardless, what's going on in your world? How have you been?
I've been pretty good, just trying to get back into like a little bit of hustle and a lot of enjoyment. I'm trying to up my enjoyment and minimize my hustle a little bit, but a lot of vegging out. Yeah. Not much new to report. I've been kind of on an interesting kick this weekend because last night I hosted the Josie and the Pussycats movie party at the Alamo, which had a lot of common themes with this episode that we're talking about today.
Oh, interesting. I haven't seen the remake or I used to watch the show back in the day on like Cartoon Network, but I don't think I ever actually saw that movie.
Good too. Yeah. Well, the movie is about, Josie and the Pussycats get signed to an evil music executive that sells to kids through subliminal messages. So
Simpsons did it indeed.
Yeah, and they're both 2001, so it's just like,
oh wow,
probably was on everyone's mind. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. For some reason, I was thinking that movie came out in like 2009 or 10. Wow, that's wild that it's that. We're getting old.
No, bro. It's like
we're getting
it's like
there.
On that butt of the 90s. It's very like 2001 in its references and fashions, of which there's a lot because the joke in the film is like that product placement is evil, but it also has like product placement in every scene, kind of.
That's
the Wayne's World gig for like the whole movie.
Man, it's all started. Was it Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, and like Rosario Dawson?
Rosario, that's correct.
Man, okay, it started to come back to me. Yeah, I remember that one.
Some of their best work, as well as Alan Cumming and Parker Posey, who are delightful as always.
Very cool. Yeah, those movie parties are actually really fun. We've both done a few of those, and I think for movie lovers, it's like a really fun gig.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So we are going to talk today about the episode New Kids on the Blecch. Blecch? I don't know how to say it.
Blecch.
Yeah. This one originally aired on February 25th, 2001. The chalkboard gag on this one is I will not buy a presidential pardon. And the couch gag on this one was a prison break style, like they're tunneling essentially into their own living room. I was wondering, do either of you happen to know, is this when the show Oz was really popular by chance?
Ooh.
Let's see.
I should have looked that up.
Might be around the same time.
Yeah. That was kind of like the hunch I just kind of went with, is like, I bet that's why it went. But also, I mean, it's kind of
1997 like for 6 seasons. So maybe
I feel like that's right here.
When was Oz good?
I also wondered if the chalkboard gag was relating to something that was newsworthy at the time. But
because 2001 would have been George Bush Jr. Is that right? Yeah, and there was probably some pardons being thrown around for some cash, I imagine.
Yeah, 2000 was the Al Gore George Bush vote count thing. Recount.
Yep. And yeah, this was in like the height of at that time, George W. Bush Jr. was a very divisive candidate, not a lot of support whatsoever. But this happened like 7 months before the 9/11, which basically the spirit of patriotism boomed his approval rating like through the roof. But he definitely went through some scandals.
He had the easiest time getting approval, basically,
which led to a whole bunch of conspiracy theories. Maybe I think we've actually talked about that on the show already, but if not, we definitely will.
I was going to say, having that cannon aimed at a building in New York kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, this episode, maybe I when I was looking it up, definitely is one that people say is a prediction.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. Even though I don't recall the Mad Magazine tower going down in 2001. Maybe
Mad Magazine itself.
Mandela effect, perhaps. I don't know.
Still, it would have been no less tragic.
What I love the line. We'll get to it at some point, but they're like the #1 rated magazine for. I'm blanking. Hopefully, it's in the script. We'll get to it. First of all, what was it about this episode when I reached out to you? What was it about this episode that drew you in to pick this to come and join us today?
Oh, okay. So to set the scene, I'm 17, a senior in high school when this episode comes out. And it was just one I remember really enjoying. I kind of checked out. Well, I kind of came. I didn't watch The Simpsons linearly until about adulthood. So this was one where I was able to watch it, allowed to watch it, and was like, oh, The Simpsons still got some bite. So yeah, I just remembered liking it, and I like talking about subliminal messages and mind control through media in particular.
Hell
so
yeah.
That was oh yeah, that would be a good one to rewatch.
I feel like that's a very not overdone by any means, but a theme that you see in a lot of sci-fi and horror that I really love.
It's one of my favorite tropes.
They Live might be the best example I can think of that going into full force, or I mean they are literally projecting things into your brain essentially. Subliminally.
Absolutely, and Kiss is referenced in this episode, so records being played backwards, all that stuff. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's not the best movie. I enjoy it. It's an Adam Sandler film, Little Nicky, where he plays one of one of Satan's children who's kind of the outcast. But one of my favorite scenes it always cracked me up. He's hanging out with his earthly roommates, and they're doing all the backwards records things you'd expect. But then he's like, no, check this out, and it's Chicago, and they play it backwards, and it's oh hell, Satan. It cracks me up so much every single time. But yeah, that's what the big theme of this episode is going to be. But recently we've had a running theme on The Simpsons in general, where the first act is just completely arbitrarily disconnected from everything else that comes up through the episode. This one's no different, because we start with a classic of The Simpsons watching TV, or we're watching a TV show, I should say, in The Simpsons universe. In this case, it's the history of the Olympics, going all the way back to 1936, when Jesse Owens...
They have this great shot of like all these the Olympic rings on like then you pan out and it's Homer's old beer cans.
Oh yeah,
on the
table.
Yeah, I tried to count real quick. I think he's like 10 beers in at this point in the day.
That's the perfect amount of drunk to watch a documentary about the Olympics, actually.
Yeah, so, honestly, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. They did some pretty absurd humor in here, because it's like Jesse Owens outraces Hitler's Zeppelin, and then you see Hitler like throwing a tantrum. And then in 1968, Bob Beeman breaks the long jump record by literally jumping out of the like entire stadium.
And old Hitler gets angry at that, even though it was in 68.
Well, I think this is a reference to the idea that a lot of people believe that Hitler actually didn't die or kill himself. Yeah. There's a conspiracy that he actually moved to Venezuela and essentially lived on to be an old man hiding under a false identity. So that's what the idea here is, I believe, is when you see Venezuelan Hitler throwing the same temper tantrum that we did before. Then we cut to our only Hitler-free reference of this Olympic documentary, when Carl Lopez at age 38 becomes the oldest man to win the gold medal for the marathon before falling off the podium, presumably to his death. 38? That's roughly my age. Marge, have I ever thought, right? After a lot of thought, I've just
have I ever thought
Springfield Marathon.
You get exhausted watching the Twilight Zone marathon.
Oh, please. You get exhausted reading Billy Crystal. Richie's line from the opening. Mm-hmm. We see that Lisa tries to encourage her father, but Homer is like, whatever. And he actually... Does he give up at this point already? It doesn't say. I'm blanking.
No, because he actually tries to run a marathon.
That's right, because we see him dehydrated and all that.
Yeah. Man, we're just jumping all over the place.
It's kind of a bait and switch.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And we basically see him preparing, and it starts, and then...
because he says they're gonna do the plan where Marge and Homer do each other's jobs to see which one's easier.
He forgets.
He confuses his own plan.
All right, Marge, fine, we'll do it. We'll swap jobs for one day. See who has it tougher. And they're just like, what?
and then it just basically cuts straight to the marathon after we like no longer reference that at all.
I just want to point out that like I was terrified when Homer was talking about his age, because I just realized we're in that window of Homer age right now. Like I never thought I would live this long, but now we used to be little Barts, and now we're fat bald Homers.
When I was Bart's age, I definitely thought 36, my current age, was old as fuck, and like. I'm trying to change my worldview on that right
now. When you have conversations, I'm like, oh yeah, I am old now. I've got gray in my beard.
What were you going to say, Jamie?
Oh, just that, like, having any preconceived notions of people based on their age is pretty short-sighted. Because, we're all going to get older.
100%. But I think as a teen, short-sighted definitely was a term you could use to describe me in general. So that tracks. Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah. As many of us, that is true of.
We see Homer actually running, but not for very long. He's in shock himself. I can't believe it. I'm actually running I hit the wall. So painful. I got my second wind. Ow! Woohoo! Third wind.
Which is how any of us would run a marathon.
I think that's the depressing part more than the age, is I'm in way too similar of shape to Homer right now. And I do believe that after like a couple of steps, I too would be so dehydrated that I would look like my grandfather or father.
They do have free donuts at my job now, and I'm like, oh no.
Smithers is the one in good shape here with the way he's carrying Mr. Burns around in the marathon, though.
Yeah.
He's on a rickshaw for pulling Burns along. My only thought on that was, say they actually pull out ahead, would Smithers have to like turn the thing around and push him across backwards in order to make sure he wins?
Yeah, or he would just have to pull it with the last effort, and step out of the way. Smithers would let it run him over. Let's be honest.
Yeah, true. He just lay down at the finish line.
Congratulations, sir.
And by the way, sir, the whip is.
Thank you, sir.
Silence. You call yourself a Chinaman? Sorry, I almost said it like Burns.
We obviously see Burns using a very out-of-date terminology that would not be appropriate if you were any character on the show other than Mr. Burns.
There's a note in the script that in future airings they actually change the line to "You call yourself Chinese."
Yeah, because this becomes a considered to be a racist slur, essentially.
He's speaking from 100 years ago. Not that that's okay.
But it is Mr. Burns, so we understand the joke.
There you go. Thank you.
We also see comic book guy is dressed as the Flash and boldly proclaims, "No one can outrun the Flash." But then immediately falls into a manhole, an empty manhole cover. Curses! One of my super foes has set a trap for me.
The city of Springfield has set a trap for you.
This is where we see Grandpa Abe is out there running around, surprisingly.
Right. The family's like in shock that it's Abe running in the marathon, but they're like, "Oh, no, that's just Dad. He's just dehydrated." And sure enough, we see him like splash water and like it's almost like one of those like little sponge toy things where like it goes into a dinosaur or something.
Yeah.
It just kind of like expands him back into Homer.
And then it eats Lisa, as Bart remembers.
Yeah, exactly. Because he traded it for his soul. We see at the final stretch that there are two runners, characters we don't know, an Australian man and Djibouti. Yeah, Djibouti.
Yeah, it's a real place.
Yeah, I'm aware. I just wasn't sure if I was saying it correctly. I couldn't remember if you tried to like slide the D in there or not. And you know how I feel about sliding the D in there.
Slide the D in Djibouti.
Yeah, Australia and Djibouti runners are neck to neck. They're like talking, like they're clearly exhausted, but they're like, giving it their all. And this is when Bart decides that a fake mustache and a hat and the perfectly timed run out onto the course, and he can win the coveted prize of a walking tour of Springfield for 2.
This is not a running tour.
He's using like a really bad Italian accent, and he starts to accept the trophy for winning this marathon until a bird plucks his mustache straight off his face, and immediately the other two runners are like, "He's a phony!
Lousy cheetah!
I demand a re-race!"
I have a better idea. Let's have a fun run on his trachea.
And we have a beautiful little moment here with Bart as he literally in real time like talks out his dilemma: trophy or getaway, trophy or getaway. And he throws the trophy at the murderous mob and jumps into the stranger's car to escape this angry mob.
To be fair, the guy was like, "Get in," and when a stranger tells you to get in their car, you definitely get in there.
Yeah, especially as a 10-year-old. If you're a 10-year-old listening to this show and a stranger says, "Get in your car," you always listen. That's just solid advice.
Did you hear about the kidnapping at the school?
Hold on, Jamie. I don't know if you're aware of like what's coming, but we get a lot of dad jokes on the shows nowadays. This is for Andy.
Did you hear about the kidnapping that happened at school? Eventually, he woke up.
I missed the punchline. Say it again.
Eventually, he woke up.
All right, moving on. We see this stranger introduce himself as LT Smash, and he saves. He has like a convertible. He drives Bart to safety. And apparently Bart invites him over to the house.
Bart's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "You'll find out in due time." And he's like, "Your ID badge hanging in the car says LT Smash.
The time has come. I'm LT Smash." Smash is like just chilling over at the crib, as he even says himself. And Homer is like, after he's like, thanks for letting me chill at your crib. Homer's like, thank you for assuming we're hip.
Now here's the 411. I'm a record producer, see? I'm starting a new boy band, and there's a place in it for Bart.
My Bart?
Oh, yeah. That stunt he pulled at the race shows he's the bad boy I'm looking for.
I love Homer's outrage. He is outraged here, and he kind of stands up. He's like, "Now you listen here, Smash. We're not signing anything unless it's a contract."
Why do you want Bart? He's not much of a singer.
It's not the singing that brings the Sacagaweas. When did those come out? I should have Googled that too. I'm gonna guess 2001. Bart's a rebel. And that's what he needs for his boy band, the Party Posse, which this was at a time in pop culture where boy bands were all of the sensation. They were the number one on the charts of music. It was Backstreet Boys and NSYNC at the top. You had your next tier of 98 Degrees, and then somewhere around D or E, it was O-Town. And there's a ton of others somewhere in between there. I'm going to say, or ask, I'm sorry, who here was into boy bands in 2001? Any of us?
I was not. I've always loved pop music, and I like some of those boy bands now, but I was definitely in more of a punk rock riot girl phase. I was 17 and in high school, so I was kind of pretending not to like pop music as much as I do.
100% similar story for me as well. I was 15 instead of 17, but at the time, it was not. My short-sighted teenage self was like, "Oh no, I can't like that," even though it's kind of groovy because it will make me seem like an outcast amongst my peers.
Yeah. But then later this same year in 2001, one of my friends randomly invited me hours before it started to a Backstreet Boys concert. And I was really high. So I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll go. That was insane because all the fans of that was at the height of their popularity. It was just a hormonal bopping madhouse. And it was overwhelming, but I'm glad I did it.
That's
was
really cool. Yeah.
A good show. Yeah.
I like going to pretty much. I've discovered through years of going to events and whatnot that I don't even necessarily care what the event is as much. I just really like being around really excited fandoms. I'm not saying it would work for anything, but I'm not an anime guy. But if I went to an anime convention, I would be like, oh man, all these costumes and random swords and shit are really cool, and these people seem to really care about it.
For sure, yeah. It's great to see the minutia of various fandoms and just and good energy is infectious. If they're excited, I get excited.
Going back to your opening statement, just trying to enjoy life more. Don't be such a cynic and just let yourself be happy and have fun. Richie, what about you? Did you have a similar experience to Jamie and I, or were you out there going bye?
A little from column A, a little from column B. It was, man, this is when you're still watching MTV a little bit. So their music video would come on, but that was really the only exposure you saw. It was just all the girls have all those guys' posters all over their walls. Who cares? Whatever. But in high school, I won't lie, I could dance to Bye Bye Bye, not all the way through, but because this beautiful, beautiful video series came out called Darren's Dance Grooves. So everybody started learning.
I remember those infomercials.
One of our friends had it. So we could do one of the Britney Spears songs pretty well, but Bye 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 was freaking tough, man. Those guys can choreography.
What was this video called?
Darren's Dance Grooves.
Oh, okay.
He taught you the popular dance routines of famous singers. So I feel I heard the song a lot because of that. But into the actual band, not really. But the Sacagawea, that was 2000. To go back to your coin,
the year 2000.
They took it out of circulation from 2002 to 2008, and then they took it out of circulation after 2012 because of its lack of popularity.
Yeah, no one likes those. They're obnoxious. I will say, I also remember there was that series on MTV called Making the Video, and they did Bye Bye Bye, and that was actually really cool. The way they did the choreography with like the puppet strings and whatnot. Like I remember like that song, I like kind of secretly like would listen to whenever my friends weren't around or whatever because I dug it. And now I love NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. I would absolutely go to a concert. That sounds really fun.
I'm curious, like it's. At this time they were still in sync, and it's weird to think back in the Simpson times and then like in modern times where it's like Justin just took off and left all these poor guys behind. And of course Joey was already old at this point, but like it's just weird that if you look back you would be like, no, he can't break off on his own, and like he's literally done that his whole career.
Yeah, he for sure has.
And Lance Bass as well, and Lance Bass as well has certainly had more notoriety post NSYNC.
Doesn't he do like the X Factor or The Voice or one of those types of shows?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not sure.
Interesting. Yeah. I was going to say, Jamie, since you brought up the Backstreet Boys, I did have some interesting stuff from the commentary as well as IMDb on this one. For the commentary, I will go ahead and list. This is one of those where we've got a ton of voices on this, and as I've many times said before, the more voices on a commentary track, the less valuable information and the more just laughs you get, which, I mean, there's fun in that, but like in terms of like information that I can give you about the show, a lot of times there just isn't that much, but there was some good stuff here. It was Mike Scully, who was the showrunner at the time, Tim Long, the writer of this episode, Matt Selman, Al Jean, Ian Maxstone Graham, Tom Gamble, Matt Cross, Matt Groening, Steve Moore, Hank Azaria, and Chris Kirkpatrick, who is a member of NSYNC. He's the one that falls during the Matrix pose for what it's worth.
That's what you're known for.
And what I thought was interesting is that this was, again, at the height of the popularity of boy bands, and it was actually the Backstreet Boys who were on top at the time. They were actually offered this guest spot first, but almost immediately declined, saying that, quote, they would not embarrass themselves or their fans by appearing on the show. However, after getting that response, they turned around and reached right out to NSYNC, and NSYNC like was so excited. They're like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this type of thing. There were rumors at the time because Justin Timberlake actually did not come in and record with the rest of the band. Or the group. It was the four guys other than Justin, and then Justin. And like rumors were flying about this at the time that he was becoming a diva or like, breaking off and doing his solo thing and leaving the band behind or whatever. But it was actually nothing like that at all, according to, the staff and to Chris Kirkpatrick, who again was in the band. Literally Justin Timberlake just had like a death in his family, at the time they were doing this. And he still was like, hey, I need to go to this funeral, but I still want to make this happen. And like a lot of the guests, these guys were awesome. Really excited to be there. Loved making fun of themselves. And I'll save it for right now, because I do have some more cool stuff from the commentary to talk about, but moving back into the script for now, we're actually really close to the end of our first act. Basically, we hear that Marge has some concerns about him joining this band. Bart's like, please, Mom, my dream is to be a rock star.
And my dream is to get rid of Bart.
But
how many lives must you ruin?
Okay, and Marge signs the contract, bringing us to the end of our very short Act 1 at only 4 minutes and 52 seconds.
But for us, 30 minutes.
That's what we do here, folks.
What would everyone's boy band be called?
Oh, interesting.
Well, maybe we should think about that as we move forward.
Yeah, let's let that brew, because that's a deep question just to throw on us at an act break, Richie.
I know, that's what I'm here for.
We open up Act 2 with Bart meeting the rest of the band in the dressing room. Smash introduces him to Party Posse. He's smart. He's soulful. He's Milhouse.
What up, G-Money?
Next, he'll break your nose, your glasses, and your heart. Nelson.
Wait, these are just guys from school. Who's next, Ralph Wiggum?
Whee! I'm a pop sensation.
And I'm the Mac Daddy behind such groups as New Kids in the Ditch and Boy Nudo. I'm going to make you stars.
The Boy Nudo play really makes me. Menudo is, of course, the band they're referencing, but I just like that they changed men to boy. That really cracks me up. Basically, this is a very weird setup for a episode that, again, is kind of coming out of left field because the first act has very little to do with this. But sure enough, they've got a choreographer and they're teaching these four guys. Four guys, three of which are voiced by Nancy Cartwright, by the way. I thought that was interesting. But they're training them to dance. And somebody points out, but they can't sing. But fortunately, Smash has that covered thanks to NASA. He turns on basically the auto tuner is more or less what it is. And suddenly the awful, screeching nails on chalkboard sounds of Milhouse, Nelson, Ralph, and Bart turns into a soulful, deep pop boy band sound that you would crave at the time.
Yeah. And even the dresser that got them on all their clothes is oh.
Chris Kirkpatrick did point out that he thought that character was funny, but mostly because he's literally nothing like any real choreographer ever. That is not at all an accurate stereotype.
I imagine a lot of the choreographers are big and buff and can move around all athletic.
I would say probably lean and in shape more than big and buff, but I don't know. I'm not a dancing expert. I would just assume that would be the preferred body style if that's your profession.
Well,
I don't know. Jamie, do you dance?
Yeah, I definitely did a little bit of dancing growing up. I did more musicals than dance, but I encountered choreographers of all body types, but a lot of fit and pop ones.
Yeah, it would make sense. I'm really going a lot off of that Michael Jackson documentary where they had the choreographer dude in it a lot. I was just basing my assumptions off of my very limited knowledge pool. So
Well, and there's probably a pretty big difference between the choreographer for Michael Jackson and the choreographer for Puss in Boots at the Creative Arts Production House.
Yeah, dude, I don't think Michael Jackson could have a Puss in Boots budget. I agree.
Yeah.
We see that. I'm sorry. First, I have to say I love the thing with Milhouse where the choreographer's calling out they're calling out the lyrics about isn't this a little bit too boastful? Because they say we're the party posse, we rule the earth, the greatest band since music burst. No one told me we'd be boasting.
Just take it from the top.
This is where he actually turns on that voice enhancer, and again it goes into they become their voices are rad, almost out of place or absolutely out of place coming out of 10-year-old boys, especially Ralph.
Every time Ralph's on screen and you hear that voice come out of him, it just makes you laugh.
100%. Yeah, 100%. A lot of the lyrics of these songs are really great too. We're real funky but not threatening. We're the best band in the world, but we give it all up for that special girl. And of course, that's what the heart of all of these boy bands were essentially. And Richie called it out earlier, but every girl I knew at that age in middle school was just obsessed with the boy bands. And the boy band's entire thing was to give these young girls the impression
lady
that there's
boners.
A chance, lady boners for sure, but a chance that it could be them being the special girl, essentially taking advantage.
Don't say middle school, Miles. You were in high school when this episode came out, so it went on past middle school. It continued in high school.
But that's the age where I think the claws get hooked in my mind.
Mm-hmm. I was just saying that those posters are still on the wall in the high school.
Well, this was the height of their popularity, though. This is they didn't.
I just meant the boy bands, the people being plastered on the girls' walls, that was in high school too. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, that's fair. Already one practice session in, it seems, and the boys already have their first gig. Granted, it's the elementary school assembly hall, but Skinner's making the announcement.
What the hell happened at this school? I want to know the story.
I don't think I do want to know this story, actually.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It just cuts over to Skinner being so from now on, anything caught in your zipper will be handled by the school nurse and not me. And now, are you adequately prepared to rock?
Yay!
Silence! Here are the party posse. And this is where Bart kind of throws Skinner under the bus by claiming, like, your principal didn't want us to play.
That's not true. This assembly was my idea.
He's like protesting.
I like your brand of inoffensive pop rock.
Bart steps up. Screw you, man. We're going to play it anyway.
And I love, like, they come back to this after the event with Skinner and Smash on the sidelines. And he's like, and you stood in their way. And he's like, no, I
didn't. This is another great little, like, quick song that's essentially about falling in love at the spelling bee. Excuse me, and then spelling love, L-U-V.
Yeah, that cracks me up.
Every time. The best line, though, by far is like Nelson's like, I gotta spell out what you mean to me. Ralph pops in with that soulful, deep voice that I can't even hit low enough notes on, but because I can no longer be a silent G.
All right, Miles. Miles, you do his boy band voice here.
Yeah, if comedy doesn't work out, I'm all getting into my 40-year-old boy band.
You got the hair for it. Oh, we could do the dad joke band. The thing that I like is basically the Simpsons writers created an entire NSYNC album in this episode because it was cracking me up that their actual voices singing all these songs.
So that was actually another fun thing from the commentary that this table read was somewhat of a disaster because they didn't have any of the song lyrics for it. And literally the characters were just kind of like, mostly Nancy was just kind of like making up lyrics as she goes. And while it was mostly falling flat, like just like about 50% of improv shows that she'll catch, when it did hit, it hit like fire. Like the other 50%, because like a lot of the lyrics came from them just like riffing and being silly, where they actually got included into the episode.
Well, and also you got to keep in mind, like if you're just even trying to like quickly sing these in a table read, it's completely different from when you actually have the voice actor doing it with the song in place as well. So it's something where you just got to trust that it's going to come together in the end and be right. Kind of a gamble.
It sounds like the title of one of their songs.
Don't gamble on my heart.
After Skinner's accused of standing in their way, he's like, I came in early. I made orange drink.
Orange drink? What, do you live with your mama?
What'd you say, Jamie?
What is orange drink?
You've never had orange drink?
No, I mean, but what is it made of? I've never known.
Sugar and the color orange.
Sugar and food coloring.
Honestly, that's a good question because orange drink I think is something that like we all had as kids, and it's not orange juice. Like it's not
quite Kool-Aid. It's not quite orange juice.
Jamie,
it's orange drink.
Neva net orange spelled backwards.
Good bailout on that one. You weren't gonna get through that. I put download this episode or download this podcast backwards in the episode description for this one, and it took me a while. Took me a while to get that correct.
I did listen to BDD backwards on the bottom of mine for the end of the podcast, but now I just ruined the surprise.
Well, if you can pronounce it, then I'm good with it.
Oh, I can absolutely. It's pretty easy, actually. I was saving it for later.
What were you gonna say, Jamie?
Oh, I said it was super liminal.
Yeah, we're not trying to be sneaky around here. We are straight up trying to manipulate you live on this podcast right now. This is actually where we get the first appearance of our guest stars for the episode. NSYNC comes in to congratulate the party posse on their new band, essentially. And we get the first of what becomes a couple of running jokes throughout the episode. First of all, NSYNC kind of has a musical cue anytime they enter the room. And It was actually on the commentary. Chris Kirkpatrick said that they had the hardest time when they were getting ready for this commentary. They're like, we knew it was one of our songs, but we couldn't remember what it was. And even listening to it, he's like, yeah, it wasn't enough to like fully identify that could have easily been any number of our songs. But it did turn out that was actually Space Cowboy by NSYNC featuring Lisa Left Eye Lopez of TLC fame. But it was just a couple of seconds sampled every time they walk in the room. The other joke that kind of became a running gag here was Justin Timberlake going, "Word."
I think Jamie might have been trying to say something there.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, can y'all still hear me? I was had a trivia upon trivia.
Hell yeah, bring it.
Which is that Lisa Left Eye Lopez was originally considered for Rosario Dawson's role in Josie and the Pussycats,
which we talked about earlier. Simulation. Yeah, this is going to be a conspiracy theory podcast after all. We're just going to bail on this episode halfway through and be like, it all connects. Someone get some red thread. So I'll go ahead and jump in with a little bit more of the commentary trivia about Justin Timberlake specifically. Again, he did have a family emergency at this time that made him that he was recording separately from the rest of the band. And even at the end, when we get the clippets of the real live band in the credits, you'll notice that you never actually see Justin with any other band members, even though it is kind of creatively shot to make it seem like he's there. He is not. But again, all of them were like really cool, really having a good time. And actually, when NSYNC was there, Mike Scully's daughter, who was like a diehard fan, they like took special time like to go and like hang out with her and, you know, like give her some autographs and take pictures. And like, we're just being like real sweetheart dudes. And I thought this was really interesting. At the end of their recording session, they basically got like an announcement like from Scully that was like, hey guys, we have a special guest here who's wants to come and meet you. And initially, you know, they were like, okay, fine, you know, we're kind of need to get going, we've been here all day, but like they keep it professional. They're like, yeah, cool, let's do it. And Tom Hanks walks in the studio. Wow. He had been next door recording for a movie. And he heard that NSYNC was there, and he's like, I just wanted to meet you guys. So they kind of reflected on this. And if you think about it, in 2001, you basically had arguably one of the largest bands in the world and one of the largest movie stars in the world all in the Simpsons recording studio at the same time. And that's pretty cool.
That's crazy. Yeah. I bet they were glad they said yes to that.
Yeah. Bad time to have a diva moment, basically, if not. I'll leave the word trivia to the very end when we get to the live bits of Justin Timberlake and we actually see him recording his line "word." But
I like that he's in the script, like he's always so excited to see Milhouse. I can't believe I'm meeting Milhouse. Word.
He's like a complete Milhouse stan for sure. They all really are. They all they say that they're a big fan of their band. Again, you pointed out they love Milhouse, or Justin loves Milhouse. They bring him a gift basket that includes some stubble glitter and a crowd taser. I love the idea of stubble glitter. First of all, like they don't really expand on that, but just the idea of like, you know, these guys are growing patchy beards in their 20s and they're putting on glitter to make it pop out. Mm-hmm. And then the crowd taser, of course, is the perfect thing to get through crowds on your way to the limousine.
Or through Joey, whatever his name is.
Zaps Joey.
Zaps Joey. That's where you get it. Yo!
Dudes, we gotta go. Our clothes are getting a little bit out of date.
To Banana Republic.
Word.
I love that Bart's reaction when they leave is, oh, now we got to get them a basket.
You haven't given me a gift. You've given me a social responsibility.
Yeah.
I think that's in Big Bang Theory of all things. I think it's a Sheldon line.
I mean, but it's true.
100%. Yeah. This is where we get the debut of the Party Posse's first music video, Drop the Bomb, which does have a very pro-military vibe coming out of it. It would seem the boys are flying fighter jets. They've got a button, or Nelson specifically has like the button to literally drop the bomb. They've got love that's more deadly than Saddam. This gets oddly political out of nowhere.
They got to get love formation too.
Yeah.
To fight that far off nation.
And then out of like literally like an explosion, it would seem like a Jeep that got exploded. 3 women dressed in, they're not like bikinis because they're like some sort of stylish dress that looks similar to a bikini, I would say. But they're singing an unusual sounding pairing of syllables, we'll call it.
Even Netanyahu, even Netanyahu, even Netanyahu.
And then Homer singing along with it. Even Netanyahu. You gotta love those crazy that crazy chorus.
What does it mean?
It doesn't mean anything, Lisa. It's like Ramalama Ding Dong or Give Peace a Chance. The video cuts to the Party Posse like doing coordinated skydiving falls or like free falling with parachutes or whatever you call that. They're still singing. The girls are still singing Eva Netanyahu, and they like run through like they like ride through like a dune buggy, and it's just like, again, it's just like a lot of weaponry and military vehicles and this weird, odd sounding chorus that keeps playing over and over again. And the only person in the room, of course, that even has a suspicion is Lisa, who knows there's something fishy about that video, but she cannot put her finger on it. Fortunately, she
literally can't put her finger on it because she freaking puts her fingers on it.
She does, and in the form of the fanciest VCR that 2001 had to offer, because this thing was able to do some stuff that I don't even think you can do digitally.
I wrote that down as well. The most sophisticated rewind technology in human existence.
She was really able to detective this thing up.
It could have made it say it like, join the Navy, like doing that going backwards maybe, but like in a split second.
I'll say again from the commentary, they said that they actually had a woman come in and do that song, and she actually sang it both forwards and backwards, and they admitted it was just one of the creepiest sounding things ever when they were recording her singing it backwards. It just was, it just sounded wrong basically, but it came out really well.
I'd like to see footage of that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They, I think they wasted all their like analog tape on NSYNC for this one. Lisa does uncover, though, what we now know, and probably most of anybody watching or listening to this podcast already knew. It's join the Navy backwards, but there's even like subliminal images of like basically enlistment posters popping up throughout the and it's really funny to me that it's the Navy. Like, I don't know why, but like it seems like this would be like, I don't like the Marines or the Army. I feel like would be more likely than the Navy for some reason. I don't know why I feel that way. Maybe it's just because I'm like Maverick wouldn't do that. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
Lisa immediately goes from figuring out that this is join the Navy backwards to looking outside her window and seeing Otto joining a bus with a backpack. And he's like, I'm going to join the Navy. Or I just got the sudden urge to join the Navy.
You're being brainwashed.
Yeah, probably. Even Netanyahu.
Like instantaneous, the first time the video plays, where anyone sees it, and before the song's even, or as soon as the song's over, Otto's gone.
Yeah, and just like that, so is Act 2, Gone But Not Forgotten. A much longer act this time, coming in at over or close to 7.5 minutes. Yeah. Which gives us still, though, quite a bit of time, close, like probably about 9 minutes left in this third act, I'd say, for them to
anything can happen.
Wrap up what's happening here. Lisa actually goes to visit LT Smash and warn him that his band is being used to recruit soldiers for the government.
Subliminal messages. Do you have any idea of how insane that sounds?
That's when Lisa notices his Navy anchor tattoo and is like, that's a Navy tattoo.
A Navy tattoo? Do you have any idea of how insane that sounds?
And suddenly a fan blows just right to unbutton all of LT's buttons, and his chest piece is revealed, showing that he's got the giant Navy crest tattooed on his chest.
I heart the Navy.
I love this reveal so freaking much. It gets me every time because Lisa, in this moment, peels off the dot between LT and is like, Lieutenant Smash.
Yeah, that's right. Lieutenant LT Smash.
And he pulls off his crew cut wig that he already had to reveal an even tighter and higher crew cut. He also lowers his pant legs down to be regulation. He pulls a couple of ripcords on his waistline, causing his loose and chill band manager persona to completely transition into a Navy officer. How could you soil the good name of Star Blitz Promotions?
Oh, come on, Lisa. We've always used pop stars to recruit people. Going back to Elvis. Then there was Sergeant Pepper. Oh, man. And then there was the Kiss Army and the Captain and Tennille.
I like the Kiss Army specifically.
Yeah. Shows all the Kiss with their makeup on, but in Army uniforms.
This is where we get a fun reference for it's a 3-pronged attack, Lisa. Subliminal, liminal, and superliminal.
Superliminal.
I'll show you. And then he yells out to Lenny and Carl, "Hey, you! Join the Navy!"
Oh, yeah. All right.
I'm in.
Which, weren't they already in the Navy a few seasons ago with Homer?
They're just re-enlisting.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh my God, this is another visual joke that kills me so hard just because he's got his back turned and he's talking out the window and he's like, well, now that you know all this, I'm afraid I can't let you leave.
He's already walking outside.
So casually, dude. Just so those casual, chill, not in a panicked walk you've ever seen Lisa take. And he's just like, oh man. So Lisa is trying to spread the news, but it's hard. As anybody knows that has been correct about a conspiracy theory in the past, there's so many crazy ones out there that even when you're on to something real, you still just kind of fall into all the crazies. She gets accused of having the jealousy bug. They insist that Marge insists that Lisa goes to her concert. And Lisa is at a predicament where she knows this is a sinister motive and she has no way to do anything about it.
And Maggie's not with them in the scene, so she won't be at the performance today.
Well, it would be too dangerous to get a Muggle-born witch recruited into the Navy.
Maybe so.
At that age.
Oh.
We haven't brought that up in a while, but somebody did bring up to me recently that we were way ahead of the game on the referencing Maggie as a Jedi before Disney Plus did the Simpsons Jedi Spectacular. So good job
for years.
Yeah,
saying you don't even like that thing. You're a
I still agree.
You
but
predicted the Simpsons.
Yo, dude, time travelers over here. That's what we do.
Now do our bidding. That's anybody listening still?
Yub Elug.
Ooh, that sounded dirty.
By Google? I don't know. All right, so we have the live audience on the deck of a naval ship. The announcer
decommissioned aircraft carrier.
Thank you.
Decommissioned, Miles.
What I need to know is, do you maggots want to see a show or not?
Huh?
I mean, here they are, the party posse. They go into their song. It's a live performance. Don't they like parachute onto the boat?
Ralph does. They all have different entrances.
That's right. Bart's like straddling a giant gunship or like the
because it fires, and he's like, "Ow, hot!"
And this is when like the coded messaging in their song lyrics are becoming a lot more apparent, because Bart, for instance, says like, "Let's get back together, girl. Let's re-enlist. So sign me up for a hitch of love. Recruit my heart for sweet years of love."
Yeah, why would you only want your relationship to last that long? But then Bart literally starts teaching him to walk, like they're about to start walking to go enlist.
Yeah, so they do like a guided dance move, the ball walk, where they've got like a motion that they're doing, and like the crowd is starting to follow, and it slowly transitions into them like in formation, essentially marching out in the crowd, which is kind of funny just to think about, like a music festival where everybody was that orderly. Basically Lieutenant Smash starts to like essentially daydream that like these guys like transition into soldiers, and then they're fighting like a giant praying mantis.
I love this sequence.
I do too. It's so much fun.
The hippies riding the giant praying mantis that blow flowers of death at people.
The flower slingshots.
Yeah. I like the soldier takes the flower to the face and it makes him go down as if he were shot.
Yeah.
And then it ends with like basically opening a wormhole somehow with one of these flower slingshots.
Yeah, the hippie world is like taking over.
That's why you need children to join the Navy, Miles.
True. That's when we see a new character who is the admiral of the ship, yelling at Lieutenant Smash, and he's like, "That hippie fantasy again?"
They're getting less frequent, sir.
Excellent. Well, there's no easy way to say this, but the new administration is shutting down Project Boy Band.
Shutting it down? Permission to say that's crazy, sir.
You won't say it's crazy when you see next week's issue of Mad Magazine. And he pulls out this like one of the briefcases.
Copy.
Yeah. And it's in like such a secure case. It's in like a plastic thing that says advanced copy. And essentially the title is "We Flush the Party Posse."
And all the boys' heads are like sticking out of a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear God.
If that hits the stands, they're gonna have as much recruiting power as a wax apple.
I don't get it.
It's just such like what would you have? You're offering literally nothing. Ralph would still fall for it. He'd eat the whole thing before he realized something was wrong too.
I think Ralph would still be good at recruiting people to whatever you wanted him to recruit people to. He should break off as a solo act.
Nice. Yeah, he's the secret Justin.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say, Jamie?
I said the JC of the group, yeah.
Yep.
Which is crazy to think that like less than 2 years away from this episode was Nipplegate.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Like that's such a sharp rise he had.
Nice.
Well played.
So the Admiral has no choice, or Lieutenant Smash has no choice, he feels, but to shut down this project. So mid-performance, he clicks off the auto-tuner, and the kids go
with
back
the pistol.
Yeah, just for effect. And it goes back to like their standard voices, which are obviously awful. And it very quickly dissipates this boy band craze.
But Lieutenant Smash isn't done, Miles. He's not done at all.
He actually takes that same pistol and uses it to like reactivate the aircraft carrier, and it starts taking off of its moorings.
It's literally like this aircraft carrier was decommissioned, but there is a switch when it's in the off position. It says decommissioned, and he just pulls it up to commissioned. Like that's how
that's all it takes.
I very much enjoyed that.
That's the process. Most of the audience literally just starts jumping off the ship, which, to be fair, if you had like a boat that was like moored to the seashore, like you would probably freak out if it started moving.
Yep.
It does kind of remind me of the end of the original run of Arrested Development. We end up, though, where the only people left on the ship are LT Smash, the posse, and Homer, who's just coming from the restroom and is like, so what songs did I miss?
Dad, LT's gone crazy.
And Homer even looks up to see LT laughing like a crazed maniac. Oh, yep, that's the look, all right. They start to become concerned. You think he's going to do something dangerous?
How should I know? Just keep loading missiles.
And Ralph chimes in, pop music's hard work.
He's carrying a missile by himself.
Yes. They're loading missiles into these giant guns on the side of the ship. And this is where we get that weird, like, I saw this on IMDb. I think you guys both mentioned that, like, there's something that made you feel a little uncomfortable about this concept of they're in New York, and you see a building collapsing, which obviously in 2022 or anytime post September 11th, 2001, that's going to elicit certain emotional responses, especially for Americans. But apparently you can actually briefly see the Twin Towers in the background of a shot. Again, I didn't actually catch that myself, but that's according to IMDb. And then what we are seeing is the offices of Mad Magazine are being bombed by the Navy. And this is that line I was trying to think of earlier. It made me laugh so hard because when he finds out about it, Homer's like, not Mad. That's our nation's largest mental illness themed humor magazine. And I do want to point out that this did happen again 7 months prior to 9/11. So it is one of those just weird coincidences, more so than a prediction, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I love that we get the shot of inside the writer's room at Mad Magazine too, where they're trying to.
Why don't we call it Everybody Hates Raymond?
Well, we stayed up all night, but it was worth it.
And then actually when they get bombed too, I like the bit where it's basically like they all come crawling out of the rubble and everybody's like, you okay? Yeah, I'm actually better than before. We cut back to the aircraft carrier where we see that it looks like all hope is lost and that mad Lieutenant Smash is going to blow everything up. Milhouse is like, we got to mellow him out.
But how? We would need the ultimate chill out song.
And fast.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's when the NSYNC saves the day. Basically, they
don't save anything.
Oh, they saved the day, sir. Their dance choreography is what brings it all together. No, they pull up in a speedboat. They like ramp onto this aircraft carrier, which has been moving, by the way. So how did they place the ramp?
How did they hear what was said?
What was said? Oh, there's a lot of flaws in this. They also like pull up perfectly to a skid right in front of the party posse. Can the chit chat, Milhouse?
Yeah, Milhouse like it's insane
to defuse this whack attack. Defuse it, old school.
About time.
They get basically JC like writes down some lyrics for him, hands it to the band, and they're all like, "Oh, radical, awesome."
I can't read.
And Nelson can't sing without dancing.
Fine.
So we get some choreography from NSYNC demonstrating thrust, spin, turn, pivot,
jiggy, robot.
Do-si-do. And then, of course,
close
with a matrix. Yep. Which is a literal pose where they all like do the thing where they like freeze in midair, but apparently Chris Kirkpatrick can't do it because he just falls down. Nobody pouts going into a jiggy.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I want to twirl.
Oh, come on, guys. We've only got a few minutes.
That's where we actually, I cut ahead earlier, but that's where we see the Mad Magazine building has been blown up, but nobody was hurt. Smash is basically he's going into custody. He's like, well, boys, the party posse's over, but at least I saved you from a public spoofing.
And they see like pieces of the magazine that hasn't come out yet with the cover falling in onto the aircraft.
It's like
carrier.
raining everywhere, right? Yeah.
I love Bart's response. He's like, oh man, we could have been on the cover of Mad.
They called me Smelson. Ha ha.
Smelson. It's funny because you smell.
I think it's nice that Melson can take it as well as dish it out.
Yeah, honestly, that's a good point. It's good to know that he can take a joke, considering how much he puts people through.
Smelson. I could have thought of that.
See
how I made Miles do the Irish accent character now? Or would it be
damn it. We cut to NSYNC, who are like, basically, this is our Simpsons resolve. And Justin's like now talking directly to the camera. You know, we've had a lot of fun tonight at the expense of the U.S. Navy.
But they're out there every day protecting us from Godzilla.
And don't forget pirates.
And jellyfish.
Yeah, those whack invertebrates will sting you old school.
So check out the Navy for a 2 or 4 year hitch.
We signed JC up yesterday.
What?
No! And that's where we actually cut to the credits. Instead of our usual song, we get the Party Posse's backup singers doing the Join the Navy bit, the Niage. And that is the end of the third act. But in this episode, they threw together a pretty cool little bit of some behind the scenes footage of NSYNC doing their recording. Again, this was the biggest band, or one of the biggest bands on the planet at this time. So they were able to splice together some cool stuff in the credits, including this line from Justin Timberlake where it says word. And basically, they edited this together. Let me see how I want to say this. Justin originally kind of protested. It was not in like a diva-ish way, but he literally was just like, this is something I would never say. And they had to kind of convince them to record it. And they even at one point like kind of said like, hey, let's just record it. And that way we have it. We might not even use it. And so they instead, of course, edited it in as much as possible, and they even did this at the end where he at the very last thing we hear on this episode is Justin Timberlake going word, but it cuts away and you only hear him say, it just sounds like something I would say, and they're actually editing that around the fact that he said that's something I would never say, or that's something I would not say. They just kind of like like a little bit of a gag on him, which again they took in really good spirits because they were thrilled to be on The Simpsons.
I also thought it was really cute in this part when they were like, oh yeah, we met Bart, and he's like this tall, like pretending that they really met Bart. It's like pretty endearing.
Yeah, it is really sweet and kind of fun. But yeah, that's it, y'all. That we got through it. We all joined the Navy. We're up for 4 years now. It's the end of this episode. Jamie, do you have anything else that you want to talk about for this episode, or anything Simpsons related at all?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say that I really enjoyed this episode still. I kind of wonder if just the boy band stuff could have been its own episode, but maybe not, because I guess all the Navy stuff was added late, so maybe they couldn't make a full episode out of it. But I don't know, I just love to see like Ralph and Nelson and Millhouse, all those characters interact are some of my faves. But I like the episode, and I double featured it with another episode about subliminal messaging. The Bart's friend falls in love, the Rich Creamery butter episode.
Oh yeah,
which is one of my favorite gags, the Rich Creamery butter. So yeah, it was a good double feature.
That's a good pairing for sure.
Yeah.
Richie, what about you? Anything else that you or that book of yours wants to point out?
I definitely still thought it was a fun episode. I had trouble at first. I overthought like everything that happened in this episode. But I feel like overall, like I thought maybe it was going to be too gimmicky because of NSYNC being in it. But after rewatching it, I thought it was pretty dang funny. There's a lot of quick jabs and like just Justin's overall excitement about meeting Milhouse. Just there's something about it that just cracked me up because no one's excited to meet Milhouse, you know.
And he's Justin Timberlake's like the most popular member of the most popular boy band in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good,
Ralph
good
having
bit.
this like super deep things. It's just everything about it was fun, except the one not fun part about this is I feel like this probably happens more often than we realize in everything. Like I feel like they're taking a very broad jab at something that happens quite frequently with the subliminal messaging. But I want to know if the staff realized, like, I feel like the Eva Netniage is like a very popular thing, just as like a Simpsons thing. Like, and I wonder if they knew how popular it was going to become because, like, I remember the first time I saw this episode. I mean, it's easy to figure out. You just read it backwards and you see it says join the Navy. I remember, as a high schooler figuring it out. But because of this damn episode, anytime anybody can't figure anything out in the world, when it's a sentence, the first thing I do is read the sentence backwards every time since I saw this episode.
It's like you learned the passcode.
Yeah. It's just stuck with me for that long. That's it.
We should see if the Navy enrollment went up after this episode. If it was actually successful.
They like made fun of it, but accidentally recruited for the Navy. Or it was this whole episode was funded by the Navy, and it was a subliminal message.
I'm gonna figure this out.
Well, I will just go ahead and say, Jamie, so great to have you back. Good catching up. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, and we were very happy to have you join us for this one.
I was happy to be here. Did we want to say what our boy bands would be named?
Oh, fuck. I forgot to think about that. Yeah, you have one, I can tell, so we'll let you go first.
Yeah, when you said that, I remembered an embarrassing story from my youth, which was that it's and again, and as much in the spirit of embracing boy bands, it's not actually. It was fun. It's a fun story now, but I once entered a lip sync contest at that theater that I used to do plays at under the name, and this was spelled out with all letters and numbers. The name was 4U2NV.
How clever are you? That's
It's
a good one.
Pretty sweet. And we did a choreographed dance to YMCA. So
every time somebody sings YMCA, isn't that technically a choreographed dance?
Yes, there was additional choreography.
I'm just messing with you. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go like with boy to confused as a lesbian because that's my most common thing that happens to me in public.
I would always steal the one. I think Randy first came up with this idea, but I freaking love it. It's just water cooler talk.
Okay.
Because everyone's at work the next day talking about your band at the water cooler.
All right.
Water cooler talk.
I like that you like somehow slid in a dad joke into your boy band. Your boy band.
Is that a dad joke?
It felt like shades of dad jokes on there. It didn't until you explained it, and then I was like, oh yeah, dad joke.
My boy band is called Laughs for Dads.
There it is. You would join that one. I was at a bar in Denton and I saw they had like a poster for upcoming events, and it was like one of the bands playing was like the world's best dad jokes or something like that. I sent it to Richie because I thought it was funny. But that is going to do it for this week's Best Darn Diddly. Jamie, let's definitely have you back again. As always, if you know an episode that you're passionate about is coming up, just reach out to me and we'll make sure you get on that one if at all possible. Then, of course, we've still got the Best Darn Everythings that we'll reach out to you on for those as well. Not sure. Oh, no, I am sure what we're doing next week because we totally do predict the future on this show. We're time travelers, baby. We will.
Make sure you follow Miles at Mr. Most Days Off.
I forgot
Richie
that
at the Wiz _kid23. But most importantly, our show at Best Darn Diddly. That is DIDDLY. We're professionals.
And Jamie, I'm such a jerk. Do you have any improv or any other shows or projects or social media that you want to plug as well?
Just tell everybody you know that I'm sort of like the Crystal Pepsi. You know, you can be Billy Crystal. I'll be Crystal Pepsi. That's all I got.
Got it. Okay. You should see if that social media handle is available.
That sounds like a good
band
name,
sounds like
too.
a Twitter handle, honestly.
That sounds like a good band name, Crystal Pepsi.
So
Yeah,
make
I'm gonna
sure
check it out.
that is a good band name. Damn it. Make sure you come back again next week when Richie and I will have already reviewed Hungry Hungry Homer. I feel confident in saying that one it went good. It was an above average podcast. You'll enjoy it. Tune in.
DDB on net sale. DDB on net sale.
And until next time, join the Navy.